Welcome to the Soul Script podcast. Here we explore how to unlock the power of our story. Our journey here on earth can be one of deep passion, intentional creation, and personal transformation. The only thing holding us back is our stories. Come and join me as we rewrite and reignite. How do we connect to our body? Why are we even disconnected to our body? How can we be disconnected to our body? And why is it important to be connected to our body? This is our subject that we are talking about today. And I want you to hang in there with me because I understand that it might be a confusing idea to think that you are disconnected from your body. How can you be disconnected? Because you live within your body. You'd be surprised how many of us are living outside of our body, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that actually means. This is a really important subject. This is a really important concept, and I have found through my own experience that we can try to escape from reality by disconnecting with our body. We may be moving around, we may be conversating with people, but are we actually there? I mean, have you ever been talking to somebody and then you realize, I did not even listen to anything that they said? This happens to me way too frequently, and I have to come back into the present and be like, okay, I'm listening to what they're talking about. Maybe when you're talking to somebody, it triggers your to-do list and you're just sitting there thinking about everything you have to do. Well, you're not there in the present. And I think maybe that's what I really mean, or part of reconnecting to our body and why it's important is being able to live in the present. But why is this important, and how do we benefit from being able to connect with our body? The first and probably biggest one that I want to talk about is how we receive answers, how we discern, how we decide how to move forward in our lives. I've talked about the concept of not making decisions with our head and making decisions with our body when I'm talking about human design. And whenever I talk to a client about this, about not making a decision based off of what they're thinking or maybe even logic, you can tell that there's a little bit of on their faces or in their body language, because we're told so often that we need to make the decision based off of logic and based off of the information coming into our mind. Well, have you ever gone on the internet these days? The internet is full of contradiction. You'll have somebody who says that intermittent fasting is the only way to lose weight or the best way to be healthy. And then you'll have other scientific papers or other people who have said you need to eat every 3 hours, you need to eat immediately upon awakening, you need to have all of those things, and they contradict each other. Well, our world is full of information. You have information at your fingertips, and it's a very exciting time to be here, but also it can be a very confusing time to be here. Now, I wholeheartedly believe that we have internal knowledge, an internal wisdom. We can tune into our higher selves that can see beyond just what is laid in front of us on a physical plane. So while our mind can be deceived through all of the amounts of information out there that may or may not be true, or may not be true for you specifically, I believe that you can receive those answers. You can receive the truth for yourself within your physical body. And sometimes that comes as a physical sensation. Sometimes that comes with our emotions. Sometimes it can come with a knowing, but this knowing is different. It's not based off of logic. It's not based off of gathering all the information and then making a decision. It is just a knowing in the moment. So this is why, one of the main reasons why it is so important to be able to connect to our body, because our body gives us really important information about the information coming into our space. And that is incredibly important when you are making big decisions in your life. The second reason why it is very important to be connected to our body is because when we are connected to our body, we are able to grow and learn exponentially. So a physical reality is very important to help us to learn and to grow. And sometimes we pull ourselves out of our bodies, and I will talk about some reasons why we do this, but sometimes we will kind of separate ourselves from our physical reality. So connecting to our body aids us in learning and growing. Okay, the third one is to be able to listen to the information that our bodies are telling us. This is a little different than the first one I stated, where we can receive answers in our body. I also think that our body gives us physical cues on what is going on internally. Our energetic body is very connected to our physical body. And so when we are disconnected from those things, they almost cannot communicate to each other. That communication with each other is incredibly important. Sometimes we have like physical pains, and those physical pains are our energetic body telling us that something is wrong energetically. And then other times we have physical pains that are telling us there is something physically wrong with us, and we need to be able to receive that information so that we can act on it and do something about it. Number 4 is healing physical wounds and ailments. So I kind of touched on this just briefly a second ago, that if we're not connected to our body, how are we supposed to realize what is going on within our physical self? So, we are ignoring pains. We're ignoring that little weird feeling that isn't quite right in our heart. And it prevents us from being able to be physically healthy. I think that's pretty obvious. If we're not physically connected to our body or energetically connected to our body, we're not going to listen to the information that it is giving us. Another reason why it's very important to be connected to our body is because when we are not connected to our body, we are most likely living in the past, or we are living in the future. Our future is usually fear around the unknown of what's coming, or, daydreaming about stuff, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But then we also have the past, which we're kind of living in a state of woulda, shoulda. And when we connect to our body and we're in the present moment, we are going to experience a much happier life. When we can look around at our surroundings, and maybe we need to acknowledge something that we don't like so that then we can fix it. Or maybe we need to acknowledge the beauty in our life and realize really how much happiness and joy is within our grasp if we were to just open our eyes and to be able to recognize it. But it takes you being present to be able to do that. And to be present, you need to be fully in your body. The last reason that I have come up with, and I'm sure there are many other reasons, but the last one that I have for you today is that it helps our relationships with other people. It helps with our intimacy with our significant other. When we're having those intimate moments with our partner, if we're not there, how much can we actually enjoy that connection with each other? We definitely need to be present for that, but it doesn't just have to do with those intimacy or those intimate moments with our partner. It's also just being physically present with the people who are standing in front of us. Like I mentioned before, maybe you're having a conversation with somebody, but you're not actually there. So it helps us to be able to cultivate meaningful relationships. Now that we have talked about why it's important to be connected to our body, I want to talk about some reasons why we might be disconnected to our body. And guys, this isn't just me making up a whole bunch of woo-woo. This is stuff that, therapists are helping people with on a very regular basis. This is real stuff that many of you have probably experienced or are experiencing it now. And some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about in this episode from here on out could be somewhat, quote unquote, triggering for you, because these experiences may be very close to home. Feel free to turn this podcast episode off and maybe skip to the next one, or maybe realize that you have that discomfort within you while you're listening to this and go and get professional help so you can be able to move through it. Awareness is the number one thing that we need in order to do our healing. Because if we aren't aware that we even need healing or where the healing needs to happen, how can we move forward with that process? Okay, so why are we possibly disconnected with our body? Trauma is the most obvious one. It could look like sexual abuse. It could look like physical traumas like car accidents or veterans coming back from war. I know that they can experience this because the trauma of their reality is too much to bear. And so our brains say, nope, this isn't safe. I don't want to be here. And it actually creates this distance from our reality. There's also emotional abuse. If you've been somebody who has had to deal with any trauma in your life, there is a high probability that you are not really present within your body, whether it's obvious to you or not. And we're going to talk about kind of signs of maybe that you're disconnected with yourself. But if you have a lot of experiences with trauma, and you've had this happen to you, this distancing from your reality, I want you to know that it's completely normal and it is your body's natural protection for you. Okay, so what else can disconnect us from our body? I think self-loathing over time can disconnect us from our body to the point where we don't even want to look at our body in the mirror. I think that this happens a lot when we have body image issues, is that we hate our body and so we don't want to be in our body. So if you've been dealing with body image issues at all, there could be a chance that you have kind of disconnected yourself from your physical body on a physical plane. Feelings of betrayal, whether that's betrayal from others, or maybe we feel betrayed from God, or maybe we feel betrayal from our body. I have definitely experienced this where I have been actively angry at my body for not being healthy, for, my seizures, for my back injuries, for my illnesses, for my Hashimoto's. I've spent years and years kind of angry and feeling betrayed by my body. And it's only been recently that I have been able to change my mindset that my body is for me. It is not working against me, it's working for me. And you can see this, like I talked about, how we have that natural reaction when we experience trauma to distance ourselves or come out of our current reality or pull out of our body. You can see that that is your body trying to protect you. Your mind is trying to protect you. So no matter what is going on within our body, I think our body is always trying to fight for us, is here for us. But if you have suffered a long time from chronic illness or felt betrayed by your body, you may feel distanced from your body. You may not be connected with your body. And I guess I just want to clarify this. I feel like we have our spiritual, energetic self, and then we have our physical self. And when those come together, then we are kind of our whole self in this reality on this physical plane. And I feel like we can energetically disconnect our spirit from our body. And maybe it's not totally disconnected, maybe it's just a slight distancing, but that is what I'm talking about when I'm saying that we are disconnected from our bodies. So I probably should have mentioned that before. Hopefully that clears up any questions that you had on what are we actually talking about? What does that look like? Okay, so let's continue on. I think that another reason why we may be disconnected from our body is that we are taught by leaders or people that we look up to be disconnected from our body. Maybe we had a soccer coach that was, encouraged us to just get up and push through the pain. I talked to you guys about my experience on drill team and my coach. And she was definitely somebody that was like, I don't care if your toe skin is split in two and it's so painful. You're going to get out there and you're going to work through it. Not that I'm saying we shouldn't ever work through physical pain and that any physical pain gives us the excuse to stop. But if we experienced it as kind of a traumatic thing when we felt bullied into it, this could cause us to disconnect from our body. Shame in any way, shape, or form can cause us to disconnect from our body. Feeling shamed as just an individual, feeling shamed once again about our body, feeling shamed about our performance within school, anything like that. Shame is a big component. And I just want to state again that all of this is a way for self-preservation. And I also, if you're in this, listening to this podcast episode and you are feeling your feelings right now as we're talking about this, I want you to just write yourself a permission slip that it is 100% okay that you are disconnected from your body, that your body is honoring you and trying to help protect you from something. Okay, so what are the signs that we may be disconnected from our bodies? I think sometimes we are unaware that this is even happening, especially when we have been living in this state for a long time. We don't even know what it's like to be fully present in our physical self. So let's look at some of these signs. It's not a comprehensive list, but it's some of the things that I have experienced and some of the things that I've seen others experience. So number one is overeating. And I think that this is because we are not listening to our body cues. When we're not connected to our body, when we feel betrayed by our body, we're not going to tune in and honor our body by just listening to its cues. Not wanting to look at yourself in the mirror. And I touched on that. But if you're kind of going around throughout your day and you don't look at yourself in the bathroom mirror, or you have turned around your mirror, your full body mirror in your bedroom or whatever it might be, or if you're looking at pictures of yourself and you don't want to look at those pictures, I think that that's a big indicator that you are trying to separate yourself from your body. You can have emotional or physical numbness when you can't answer the question, how are you doing? And this isn't because you're, being polite and you're just saying, oh, I'm doing fine, and you don't really want to burden anybody with what's going on. But when you really cannot answer this question, if you were to ask yourself, how am I actually doing? And your mind just kind of goes blank, that could be an indicator that we need to reconnect to your body. There's feelings of being in your head. When you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm just all up here. I'm just so confused. Maybe you're lightheaded. There's chaos in your head. You get distracted really easily. that means that you are in your head and not necessarily in your body. Like I said before, we don't want to be making decisions with our head. We want to make decisions with our body. You may be unable to fall asleep at night because your mind is racing. And this goes hand in hand with being in your mind or in your head, is that it can prevent you from being able to fall asleep. The last one is, when you look back on your day, are you able to answer how much water you drank or how much food you had to eat? This sounds silly, but honestly, this is a big thing for me when I can't answer these questions. It's probably for maybe one of two reasons. One, I am just having a powerful flow work day and I am just in it. But then two, maybe I'm not even listening to myself, my body, and listening to those physical cues that it is giving me to help support its health. All right, so we know why it is important to be connected to our body. We know some reasons why we might be disconnected from our body. And then we also know some of the signs that show us that maybe this is happening to us and we need to try and reconnect back to our body. So let's go into ways that you can reconnect to your body. Once again, this isn't an extensive list, and you might have something that works really well for you, or ask a friend how they do it. But a lot of these are just body presence. Now, there's something about trying to reconnect to our body that if we have had an especially traumatic event, or if we have been, living outside of ourselves for a long period of time, it can feel very uncomfortable reconnecting to ourselves. It can be scary and it can be very hard. So while you're doing these things, I just want to acknowledge that it could be scary, it could be hard, it could be difficult, and you may need to just take it one little baby step at a time. Be very observant of how you feel. Like I mentioned before, when something comes up as you're doing this, make sure you take note of it and maybe get some professional help with it, or maybe do some coaching with me where we can just do some belief work and kind of recognize where it's coming from and give you some tools in order to move past those experiences or beliefs or traumas. Ways to connect to our body. I don't know if you have ever heard of tapping, but tapping can be used for a lot of different reasons, but I really enjoy tapping for essentially getting myself to be present. And we usually do this accompanied with affirmations. And it looks something like this, where you take two fingers, usually your pointer and middle finger, and you use them to tap somewhere on yourself repeatedly. So one of the spaces or parts is above your eyebrow. One of them is on your cheekbone, right under your eye, kind of on the outside of your eye. Then you can do the upper lip, tapping repeatedly. And then you could do like your chin, you can do your sternum, and are on your collarbone. And all of those things, just when you're tapping, it keeps you really present within your body. So tapping is essentially pairing or connecting our body to our emotions. So it is a fantastic tool in your toolbox to be able to reconnect with your body very easily. This is something you could do in the car while you're driving. I do it oftentimes, especially if I feel like I'm having some sort of a panic attack or, just racing thoughts. I will pick an affirmation. Maybe something is like, I am safe. And you're taking turns tapping on those different places, starting on your forehead. I am safe. Then moving down, I am safe. Then moving down, I am safe. And it's more powerful than just repeating the affirmations because we have this emotion attached to it, this maybe a positive outlook, and then we're connecting it with our body. So if you want to go look into that more, I would highly suggest it. It is a great tool, and go learn about it and add it to your own toolbox. Breathwork is another fantastic tool to put in your toolbox. Breathwork is a fairly well-known practice within the medical community, but also some of the metaphysical community. You can go to classes where you are led and guided through this breathwork process. You can find videos online to be able to guide you. And then also, once you learn, you can do it on your own. But there are a lot of benefits that come from breathwork. And I just want to read some of these from Everyday Health. They can reduce stress, including mental illness, anxiety, depression, substance abuse. And then it can alleviate PTSD, which is awesome, improve your immune response, mitigate asthma symptoms, aid glycemic control in people with type 2 diabetes, improve the quality of life in people with cardiovascular disease and cancer. So those are some of the more very physical body functions that it helps. But then there is also releasing of trauma. I guess it said helping with PTSD, but you can use it with belief work. You can use it to release physical toxins. The list of benefits with breath work goes on and is pretty extensive. And so using breath work to be able to connect to your body and to be able to process through things with your body is very powerful. Physical exertion is another one, and anything that just gets you in your body. And one thing that I would love to challenge you on is going to the gym or going on a walk or a hike or playing pickleball or whatever it might be without listening to something or watching something. This is difficult because a lot of times we go to the gym, we walk on the treadmill, and we put in our headphones and listen to a podcast. Maybe you're listening to this podcast right now on the treadmill while you're walking. Or maybe we put on a TV show to distract us from the sensations within our body. And not that I'm saying this is all wrong all the time, but I would like to challenge you to do some kind of physical exercise while not distracting yourself from being in your body. An awareness of your surroundings. This is another one that we are losing because of our phones, because of our attachment to having to always be entertained. I have periodically taken Instagram or Facebook and all social media platforms off of my phone. And at first it was really hard, I'm not gonna lie. But then over time, probably a week into it, I stopped having this compulsion to grab my phone every single time there was some kind of a lull, whether that was I was waiting for something to download on my computer or I was sitting in a doctor's office, whatever it might be. That compulsion tamed. And then I noticed myself just looking around, because what else did you have to do? I noticed myself looking out the window as we were driving, as in like when my husband was driving and I was in the passenger seat, I would look out the window and I noticed birds like hawks, and I noticed skunks running through the field, and I would look at people driving in their car and just have a general observation around me. So take some time to put your phone down, not just because this is extremely healthy for your mental health, but also to bring you back into the present. And being back in the present helps you to reconnect with your body. Slowly and steadily confronting your trauma is going to help you to be able to come back into your body. Like I mentioned before, when we have experienced serious trauma, coming back and reconnecting to our body and being in the present can be extremely painful. So doing it slowly and with guidance, and with each little step of your healing, you get that much closer to being able to reconnect with yourself. Removing any substance that causes you to be not in reality. So whether that's drugs or alcohol, take a break from those things and don't use them as an escape from reality. Be very present in your body, and when you feel the urge to step out of reality, to run away to those places that alcohol or other substances take you, notice it, and then maybe go journal about it rather than trying to drink them away. Taking time to creatively express yourself could be absolutely incredibly healing for you. When you are there with a pen and a paper, or maybe your laptop and you're writing a book, or you've got a paintbrush, or whatever it is that evokes creativity from you, you are reconnecting with yourself. You're pulling an expression from your soul and you're bringing it out into a physical plane, which you do with your body. So it is this beautiful mind, body, emotion connection that happens when you express yourself in a creative way. Stop multitasking. I cannot tell you how many times I have sat down for lunch and just immediately pulled out my phone, whether it's because I'm scrolling through social media or even if I'm trying to get work done, and I have no idea how much I ate or really what I ate. I wasn't able to listen to my body cues. And this isn't just when I'm eating. This happens all the time. I'm basically always multitasking, and I have to really be conscious of it and set a goal to not multitask. We live in a time where we are so rewarded, externally rewarded from everything that we got done. So did you check off everything on your to-do list today? Or how efficient were you in doing that? And since we're rewarded from doing a lot, we tend to multitask. We don't sit on the toilet without pulling out our phone. We don't do the dishes without also turning on the TV. We don't so on and so forth. We're always multitasking. I'm constantly multitasking, and it takes a lot of conscious effort in order to not multitask. So now you have some excellent tools in your toolbox that I think will be appropriate for you in different times. Some of them you can do while you're driving, others you can do while you're home, but just be conscious of all the times that you're trying to separate yourself from being present, and so therefore not living within your body. I think as you work on this, and as I work on it, and I have worked on it quite a lot and still get to progress, but I think as we work on it, we will see amazing benefits. Like I said, even just when it comes to making a decision, which you have to do every single day of your life, many, many times a day. We're constantly making decisions, but when it's time to make those big decisions, we can have some kind of a guide for ourselves. When we want to lose weight or heal some ailments, we can reconnect back to our body and listen to what it's telling us. We can connect with the people around us, with our significant others, and create meaningful present relationships. We can step out of fear of the future because we're living in the future, or we can step out of the woulda, shoulda, couldas of the past and just be here in the present. And I think that's one of the main things that I'm trying to teach myself right now, is that we don't have tomorrow and we don't have yesterday. The only thing that we have is today. So when we connect to our body, we can live in the present, which is the only thing we actually have right now. We're going to end this episode with a guided visualization, which I'm realizing I should have added to how we can connect to our body. Meditation, visualization. Most meditation practices are encouraging you to be present rather than going off into a different world. That's one kind of meditation. But another really powerful meditation is to practice being present in your body right now without racing thoughts. What we're going to do is a guided visualization, which will take you from being in that headspace, being in a metaphysical energy space, and bringing all of that, bringing your soul and your internal being back into your physical body. You're in a circular room, and this room is huge. Along the walls of this room, you can see that there are screens. These screens are all different shapes and sizes, but they cover the entire wall from the top to the bottom. The screens suddenly turn on, and the first image that you see is one of you in the happy moment. One where you felt joy. It was one of the first times you ever remember feeling joy. You see the people that you're with. You see the moment that you were in. And as you look at the screen and watch this image play before you, you're filled with the same emotions that you felt when that was happening. Joy comes up and rises to the surface, and a smile blooms across your face. You look to the screen next to it, and you see another image playing before you. And this moment is also another joyful moment, a moment that is filled with love. And you feel this love bloom from your soul, from your body, and it runs through every part of you, and you keep beaming. You see the people that you're with, you see the people that showed you love, and you see the people that you love. You look down from that screen and you see another memory pop up, and this one is full of laughter, one where you're grabbing your stomach from laughing so hard. And you chuckle to yourself right now. This continues as you make your way around the room, just gazing upon these moments that brought you so much happiness. Then, suddenly, all of the screens go black. And you start to get a little nervous as you look around, wondering what had happened and where you are. The screens pop back up, and this time they are full of images of moments of pain. You see one right in front of you, and as you watch it, you can feel that same pain. And you start to cry. You move to the screen next to that one, and there's a moment where you were being ridiculed and shamed. This continues as you look around the room and you are filled with this pain and this despair. You remember what it was like to be in that moment. You fall down with your knees crashing on the floor, and you put your hands over your face and you just cry and sob and just ask for the screens to turn off. And the screens go black. You have a little moment of relief as those memories are no longer there in front of you. The screens turn on again. And this time, there are memories from yesterday. There are memories from today. But you can barely recognize them as you look at them because you notice that they're all fuzzy. They're all just out of focus just a little bit. And you squint your eyes, wondering if it's just your eyes. But no, it's not just your eyes. The images are actually fuzzy. And you look around the room, and you look at the people that you interacted with yesterday. You look at the people you interacted with today. You look at the dinner you cooked, and you look at your phone screen, and you look at the scenery flashing by as you're driving. But everything is out of focus. And this frustrates you. This is annoying because you can't see the images clearly. You suddenly hear footsteps walking towards you and swing around to find somebody that you love. And seeing them brings this sense of relief because of all the joy and then all of the pain and then all of the frustration that you have been through. And you run over to them and you embrace them. And they embrace you back. And as you hold on to them and wrap your arms around them, you feel a sense of relief because someone is there with you. You tell them about everything that happened. You tell them about being in this room. You tell them about the screens turning on and showing you all these beautiful memories of happiness and joy. You tell them about how the memories then changed into ones of pain that brought up so much awfulness inside of you. And then you tell them about the fuzzy images in front of you and how it made you feel frustrated. This companion of yours listens as you speak, and you're surprised by how attentive they are. They're looking at you in the eyes, and it's almost like they're looking at you so much that they can see your very soul. A smile spreads across their face, and you ask them, What's so funny? Why are you smiling? They ask if they can show you something, and somewhat hesitantly, you say yes. Your companion picks up a remote that you didn't notice was there and turns the screens on. It's the same happy memories that you saw in the beginning. And they ask you, what do you notice about these memories in comparison to these memories? And they click the TV remote, and it's as if the channel switches over to the painful memories. And you look at it and you're wondering, I don't know, what is different from them? They flip back to the first one, the happy memories, and then back to the painful ones, and back and forth until you realize that all of the images that were happy, joyful, funny, humorous are seen through your eyes. All of the memories that are painful, shameful, are memories that you're looking at yourself from the outside. It's as if you were a bystander watching everything happen, when the memories that are joyful are you present in your body. Your companion explains to you that as you experienced pain, anger, loss, ridicule, shame, that you didn't want to be there because those are really hard experiences, and that you've separated yourself from those experiences. Now, when you look at life, everything is fuzzy because it's not through your eyes. Everything is distance. Everything is out of focus because you are no longer looking through your own eyes. Your companion then asks you if you want to continue experiencing life this way. And they let you know that if you do want to continue experiencing life this way, that that is completely fine, and they understand and they support you no matter what. They also explain that if you choose a different way of living, if you choose to start seeing through your own eyes once again, start seeing with clarity and have things in focus, that you may experience that pain once again. You will have to be willing to experience it all, not just the joy, the happiness, the laughter, but also the sadness, the anger, frustration, and shame. You'll have to experience it all in order to be able to see clearly your experiences now. You look at those happy, clear moments in your life with fondness and with joy. Then you look at the sad, painful, angry, frustrating, shameful memories, and you want to run away. And then finally, you look at those memories that are fuzzy, that are out of focus. Can I really live the rest of my life out of focus? Don't I want to be able to see my life? Don't I want to be able to have clarity? And you ask yourself, am I willing to feel it all, to feel the pain, both physical and emotional, in order to see the rest of my life with clarity? You turn to your companion and they grab your hands. You look in their eyes and you say, I want to change. I want to have clarity. I want to see through my own eyes. Your companion asks you to close your eyes. So you do. They ask you to feel your toes. You feel your toes physically in your physical body. They ask you to continue. You feel your ankles, and you feel your shins, and your calves, and your knees, and you move them, and you shake them. You feel your hips, and your tummy. You feel your ribs. And then it's time to feel your heart within your chest. And suddenly a sense of panic rises. And you wonder, is this really worth it? Do I really want to feel all of that pain? And you take a deep breath and you trust. And you can feel your heart inside your chest, and you can feel your ribs. And you take a big deep breath and you feel your lungs rise and fall. You can feel your body, and then you open your eyes. And you see through your own eyes clearly for maybe the first time in a long time. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration. Your support makes a world of difference. Until next time, keep rewriting and reigniting your story. Before we finish this podcast episode up, I want to share one more thing with you. I have a therapist and I go and see a therapist on a very regular basis. I think it is important for you, for me, and for everybody on planet Earth to seek out a qualified professional to help them. Please remember that the advice I share on this podcast is just for general purposes only. I seek out to be accurate, but I certainly cannot guarantee it, nor do I accept the responsibility for any actions taken after listening to this podcast. By listening, you agree not to hold SoulScript Studio, nor myself, Laura Titensor, liable for any outcomes. Thank you so much for understanding, and go and find yourself a therapist.